if we talk about the India's context, 27 to 30% of India's population is Gen Z. And by 2030, they will dominate the workforce, market, and the digital space. So Gen Z is much more tolerant because of globalization. They have much more liberal views towards LGBT, towards women empowerment, towards caste barriers, towards social justice reforms. They are more open, right? So because of this, it is actually good for India's future. ये एक प्रॉब्लम है, इससे एक सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये हो रही है कि लर्निंग आउटकम्स पे इम्पैक्ट होगा, राइट? ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि पीपल आर नाउ नॉट रीडिंग बुक्स, rather they are watching shorts and reels to get information. So we don't want to create a society where the urban Gen Z takes the maximum benefit of, the growth that India will witness. Hello everyone, I'm Sajal Singh. Now, as you have seen behind me, it is a photo of Gen Z protests that has toppled the regime in Nepal, right? So will not be talking about the Nepal's Gen Z revolution, because enough has been written and enough has been spoken about that topic. But I will discuss about Gen Z itself, because Gen Z is an important topic for your UPSC preparation, and a question can be asked in GS1 society paper, right? Also, it can be asked in ethics paper, right? So basically, in this video, we will discuss, first of all, we'll discuss briefly about different generations and their characteristics. Then we will discuss about the Gen Z. Why do they matter to India? The positives, the challenges that we are facing with Gen Z, and what can government do to ensure that we make or we use the potential of Gen Z to the fullest. ठीक है? तो सबसे पहले, as we talk about the Gen Z, right? Before we start with Gen Z, let's first compare the various generations of the 20th century. So, at the first, we have the silent or the traditionalist. These are the people who were born between 1928 and 1945. So basically, this was the generation that actually were in teenage. Some of them were teenage, some of them were very young when Second World War was happening. And this was the generation who were widely nationalist, conformist. When I say conformist, it means that they respected authority, they respected their government. Because understand this thing, when they were growing up, this was the age of Cold War. This was the age of McCarthyism, right? So they have seen their parents fighting in the World War II, right? So they were greatly nationalist, they valued discipline, they valued loyalty. They did not, and they were very much family oriented and conservative in their approach, right? So basically, this era or this generation was replaced by another very fascinating generation we called as baby boomers. Now, basically, baby boomers, the term baby boomers comes from the fact that in this era between 46 to 64, the world population increased significantly. Why? Because these traditionalists, they have seen a lot of hardships, right? And these people worked really hard. Plus, the post-war economy boomed. It was a war-based economy. It boomed. There was peace. There was stability. So, the economic growth happened. And with economic growth, with advancement in science and technology, this was also the era when the fertility rate increased and the population of the world increased manifold. So that's why they are called as baby boomers. Now these baby boomers, they were born and they were growing up in a booming economy, because overall in the world, the economy was doing well, right? And because they were they did not face the same level of economic hardship which their parents faced. They were more risk takers and they were less conformist. So we can see many people of this generation leading the hippie movement that had happened in late 1960s. This was also the generation which had protested against the Vietnam War, right? So this was the generation which was little more liberal. They were more tech savvy. They were more educated, and they were more risk takers, and they were more rebellious compared to the earlier generation. They were followed by Generation X. Generation X is somewhere, in transition between the baby boomers and the millennials. So this was the generation that was self-reliant. They had entrepreneur skills. They were more adaptable, and they were also much more entrepreneur. Plus, one very important quality among Generation X was that they believed in work-life balance. So they were not crazy for like working 16 hours or 12 hours a day. They were followed by millennials, which is my generation. And this generation is known for tech savvy. They are aspirational. Many of them are focusing on early retirement. They are socially more conscious. They are more career oriented, right? And this is also the generation that believes in consumption orientation, right? And they were followed by Generation Z, which is people who were born between 1997 and 2012. Now, this generation is, when we were growing up, we learned internet at the age of, I would say, 12, 13. But this generation, my niece or this generation learns internet at the age of 6, 7, 8, right? So they are truly digital natives. They are innovative. They are liberal. They are pragmatic, right? They are more pragmatic, and they are more risk takers, right? They were replaced by Generation Alpha, right? Which are young people. They are hyper digital, they are hyper creative, and they have early exposure to AI and STEM. So these are the major generations that we have in the 28th century. Now, if we talk about why are we discussing Gen Z, if we talk about the India's context, 27 to 30% of India's population is Gen Z. And by 2030, they will dominate the workforce, market and the digital space. So, अब जो हमारी आगे की ग्रोथ लाने वाली है वो Gen Z लाने वाली है. इसलिए Gen Z matters to us, right? इसलिए we are talking about Gen Z, right? So, if we talk from the UPSC angle side, we see that this topic is relevant for GS1, GS2, GS3 and even GS4, right? When a question can be asked on the silver economy, the question can also be asked on Gen Z. When a question can be asked on child cuddling and the impact of work from home, this is also an important topic. With this generation has its own values, its own system, its own culture, its own social thought process. So there's no reason why this could not be asked, by the UPSC. So let's discuss the positive aspects of this generation, why they are so relevant to us, why these positive attributes can actually carry forward India's growth story, right? So सबसे पहले demographic dividend. They will be by 2030, they will be the major part of our workforce. And if they are skilled, if they are innovative, then India could achieve the goal of Viksit Bharat. Second, digital natives. These are people who are very comfortable with technology. According to the NPCI data, 67% of Gen Z, they use UPI and digital payment. These are the people who use social media, who use tech platforms. So as India is, progressing towards digital Bharat, this generation can actually be the carrier of that whole idea, right? Third, they have great entrepreneur skills. See, basically, when we were growing up, or perhaps the generation that was before us, Generation X, it faced the very peculiar problem which even the economic survey highlighted: stigmatized capitalism. Which means because they were growing up in the socialist era, wealth creation was considered as a taboo, as a sin. Rather, the focus was on कि आप job करो. But at least now it's been 34 years of economic reforms, and we can say with great confidence that the capitalism is no more stigmatized as highlighted by the economic survey. So because of that, the Gen Z, they are with very great proud, they are showcasing their entrepreneur skills. Zepto का मालिक मालूम है कितनी एज का है? 21, 22. That's their age. And they started at the age of 19, I believe so. So they were Gen Z. Or Rohan Gupta, they are Gen Z entrepreneurs and they are already billionaires, right? So as we want to be a factory of the word, this can be a good chance with the Gen Z showing entrepreneur spirit. Then diversity and inclusion. So Gen Z is much more tolerant because of globalization. They have much more liberal views towards LGBT, towards women empowerment, towards caste barrier, towards social justice reforms. They are more open, right? So because of this, it is actually good for India's future. It is good for India's modernization. It is good for government's agenda of social justice reforms, right? Then education and skill upgradation. So they are very much interested in online learning and they are very much interested in skill upgradation. आप देखोगे जाके कोर्सेरा में, आप देखोगे जाके यूडेमी में, it is these Gen Z जो मैक्सिमम इनका क्लाइंटल बेस है. 19 साल के लोग, 18 साल के बच्चे कोडर बन रहे हैं, right? So they have this kind of focus towards new age technologies, new age skills. Then social innovation. This generation is heavily trying to use technology for health, for agriculture, for grassroots solutions. And last and very important, civic and political engagement. They are, we have seen in Indonesia protests is happening, Nepal, Bangladesh, maximum जगह Gen Z ने ही protest किया. Why? Because they are using social media to the maximum. And they're not just protesting silently, they are protesting with proper networking, right? And they are not very happy with status quo. They're not very happy with what we call as traditional kind of democracy. They want more participatory governance. They want more open governance. They want more accountable governance, which is good for any democracy, including India, right? Now, these are the positive aspects that we can take from Gen Z and that can be utilized well to help India grow further. Then we see the negative aspects. So if we talk about the negative aspects, there are many. And the most important, which we also face as a teacher, because most of you who are watching this video would be Gen Z, is short attention and instant gratification. So, that has been a major challenge for teachers like us, that to keep you hooked, because you are born in the generation of shorts, reels, and you want to get all the information in just 1 minute, right? So ये एक प्रॉब्लम है. इससे एक सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम ये हो रही है कि लर्निंग आउटकम्स पे इम्पैक्ट होगा. राइट ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि पीपल आर नाउ नॉट रीडिंग बुक्स, rather they are watching shorts and reels to get information, right? So ये एक major challenge है. Second and very important is political disillusionment and distrust in institutions, and that's what we are seeing in Nepal, right? Right? We are seeing in Nepal, we are seeing in Indonesia, we are seeing in various parts of the world, Japan, that they don't trust the traditional institutions. Few days back, there was a massive protest in UK. They don't trust politicians, they don't trust traditional system, and that can lead to reduced voter turnout, which is not good for any kind of functioning democracy, right? And they want quick results. They don't have patience. So that's also not very plausible or very suitable for any democracy. Then cyber risk and privacy concerns, because they're using data so much, they're using internet so much. They're more prone to cyber frauds. They're more prone to misinformation, WhatsApp university. They're more prone to that fake information. Plus, they are more prone to online radicalization, especially by the terrorist groups. Similarly, consumerism and debt. I mean, there was a recent survey which says that millennials want house, while on the other hand, the Gen Z, they don't believe in house. They believe in living in rent, and they believe in more spending of the money. And because of this excess consumerism, many of them are under debt, right? Which is actually not very plausible, because household saving is a very, very important aspect of economic growth. And we already see that household saving has not been at its peak. It can further decline with this kind of consumerism and debt-based consumption. Ki naukri lagi, let's buy everything, let's spend everything on loan, right? Now, once you are laid off, then what will happen? What will happen? Right? Then identity and value conflict, especially with their parents who are mostly Gen X, right? Who are mostly Gen X, or who are mostly, most of them are Gen X. So that is a major problem, that while on the other hand, you have global culture, at the other hand, you have traditional values of the parents. So many times it's leading to a lot of familiar conflict, family conflict, right? Then skill mismatch. These are the people, they are definitely studying, but many of them are still not employable, because there is a mismatch between what industry has to offer and what they are offering, right? So that can lead to underemployment. That can also means that we will not use the demographic dividend well. Then jobs insecurity and gig economy. As you know that many of these people, many of these Gen Z, they're employed in the gig economy. They're working as a freelancer, they're working as a delivery, they are working in different other areas. They're working as an Ola driver. But in this gig economy, we still don't have a pan-India law which provides social security to them. So that is an important challenge, as more and more Gen Z will shift towards gig economy. Then mental health issues. According to the NCRB report, student suicides are highest in the last 10 years among people who are between the age of 15 and 25. So because of so much competition, they are facing anxiety, depression, and there is lack of institutional support which can deal with their mental health issues, right? Then digital divide. जो urban Gen Z है और rural Gen Z है, there has been a gap. According to the NFHS survey, only 33% rural household have internet access. So we don't want to create a society where the urban Gen Z takes the maximum benefit of, the growth that India will witness. And finally, migration and brain drain. ठीक है? Now, these are certain buzzwords that you can use in your answer if the question comes. Digital first generation, green and gig economy workforce, networked activism, demographic dividend 2.0, hyper connected citizens, innovation driven human capital. Now, what should India do to ensure that we realize the potential of Gen Z the maximum? The first is education and skill development. उसके लिए इंडिया शुड फोकस ऑन इंश्योरिंग दैट जो एआई है, कोडिंग है, रोबोटिक्स है, डेटा एनालिटिक्स है, ये जो कि आज की डेट में ग्लोबल डिमांड है, उसको वी ब्रिंग इट और वी इंटीग्रेट इन अवर स्कूल एंड कॉलेज करिकुलम फॉर Gen Z. Right? Similarly, we should ensure that there is more exchange program, more online certification, and more collaboration between Indian and foreign universities. Secondly, employment and economic opportunities. So basically, we can create a Gen Z innovation fund. जिससे हम क्या करें, जो Gen Z स्टार्टअप बनाना चाहते हैं, खोलना चाहते हैं, रिसर्च करना चाहते हैं, फंड कैन बी प्रोवाइडेड. प्लस वी नीड टू इंश्योर कि हम उन एरियाज में जॉब क्रिएट करें जहां पे अभी डिमांड आ रही है. एआई हो गया, रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी हो गया, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी हो गया, नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी हो गया. ठीक है. प्लस जो हमारे गिग इकोनॉमी में काम कर रहे हैं Gen Z, उनको भी प्रोवाइड प्रॉपर स्किल ट्रेनिंग, प्रॉपर सोशल सिक्योरिटी. थर्ड, डिजिटल गवर्नेंस एंड सिविक एंगेजमेंट. देखो, हमने पहले भी ये चीज बोला है कि दे वांट मोर अकाउंटेबल गवर्नेंस, दे वांट मोर ओपन गवर्नेंस, they want more responsive governance. So it's our duty, the duty of the government, to give them that platform. So there should be a youth policy feedback, जहां पे जो भी पॉलिसी गवर्नमेंट ला रही है, यूथ से रेगुलर फीडबैक लो कि भाई आपको क्या लग रहा है, and based on that feedback change it. When they will feel that their voice is being heard, their political apathy will also reduce. Right? So इसके लिए my government portal is doing well also. Similarly, social and cultural empowerment में, mental health and well-being पे, there should be a special program, there should be a special scheme, and at school level, it should be taught to them. Plus, there should be proper helpline which can manage their mental health problems. So we can learn from various countries. South Korea and Singapore ने STEM पे बहुत फोकस कर रही है. Right? Finland, Canada, they are promoting creativity among Gen Z at the young age. ठीक है? So that is basically what we need to focus upon, and it's a very important topic for your UPSC preparation also. And I will continue this series and I'll bring more issues on which question can be asked, and we'll do a in-depth analysis of that. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.